This is EAWorldView's 3-step guide to generating a scare story about Iran in the Western media. Step 1, find your story. Last week, there was an article that raced across Reuters, the Associated Press, other agencies which came out of Vienna. The story dramatically announced that there was a heavy water reactor in Iran due to be launched next year that was going to generate plutonium that should be used for a bomb. Scary headlines followed. Panic ensued, at least for a short time, until everybody looked at a different subject. But how was this done? Did it have any basis in fact? Actually, it's an old story. Plans for the reactor have been public since 2004. Iran has notified the International Atomic Energy Agency of its existence. Plutonium is a natural byproduct of a heavy water reactor. Countries such as France, for example, use that plutonium in reprocessing for civilian purposes. But to make the story scary, something different has to happen. Western diplomats located in Vienna, the home of the International Atomic Energy Agency, pick up a phone, send out a press release, quietly contact a journalist, say from Reuters or the Associated Press, and they say, "We've got this information for you. We think this is rather important." Now, the journalist in question doesn't necessarily check to see if it's important. They talk to the Western diplomat. On occasion, they go to lunch with them, and then they simply produce a story which says, exclusive, or new, or revealed, Iraq heavy water reactor threat of bomb. The unnamed Western diplomats are never exposed, so we don't know from which country they come from, let alone who they are. The journalist has a byline. Everybody has a story which is quite scary and quite frightening, at least for a few days. Step 2, is this a conspiracy theory? No. Look, conspiracy theories are who shot Kennedy, who tried to assassinate Castro, what exactly happened at Roswell with the aliens. This is not a special process. This is a normal process. Unnamed Western diplomats have, for many decades, been spinning journalists. In some cases, journalists have been on the payrolls of Western intelligence agencies. What is special about this case, is, of course, is that the Iran nuclear case is in the headlines because of the supposed threat of war. Not necessarily a war launched by the Iranians with a bomb, but say, an airstrike upon Iran to halt the nuclear program. So periodically, we will get these stories as part of the normal process of diplomats talking, quote, on background to journalists. And it will happen every few months, sometimes every few weeks, until we either get a diplomatic resolution of the Iran situation or we actually get a military conflict. Which brings me to step 3. So why is this important? Stories don't just disappear. They leave something behind. They create a scare factor or a fear factor. So if it ever comes to the point when a Western government or Israel wants to step up against Iran through tighter sanctions, through an attempted regime change, or indeed through military action, they have the public prepared. Again, this isn't new. One only has to think back to 2003 in a country called Iraq, in which there were months of stories about weapons of mass destruction, which preceded the attack on Baghdad and on Saddam Hussein. That culture of fear, that drive to war if necessary, is a byproduct of these stories. And that's why it's always essential to remember the 3-step guide to generating scare articles about Iran in the Western media.